Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, April 5th, 2024. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The Firearms Amendment Bill 2024 was passed in Parliament last evening. It will lead to increase in penalties, definitions revised, and insertion of 2 new offences. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who tabled the bill, announced that the penalty for any person found in possession of an illegal gun, even though he or she does not use it, could now be fined as much as 25,000 EC dollars or imprisonment for 10 years, which is an increase of $5,000 and 3 more years added to imprisonment. The Prime Minister, however, noted that sentencing and charges will be determined by the magistrate once the case is brought before him or her.
So it would mean that when somebody now has a firearm, and let us say, applying all the sentencing guidelines, a first offender and everything like that, and is not used in relation to the commission of a crime. He has this in his possession without a firearm license issued by the authority. With all the discounts and pleading guilty, Madam Speaker, they would probably get 3 years, sometimes you see they get 18 months. Very rarely you see them go beyond 3 years. But if you get 3 years and the maximum was 7 years, and sometimes you may go up to 4 years in particular cases, it would be clear with this signal, with whatever application of the sentencing guidelines, it would be a number closer to 5 years. That is, I'm not a judge.
One of the 2 new offences that has been introduced as part of the amendment to the Firearms Act is for licensed firearm holders. They could now also be fined a maximum of 2,000 EC dollars or imprisoned for 6 months once they breach the terms of their license.
But there are terms in the license, like for instance, the term of the license, you'll either have the gun on you or you have it in a safe place. That's why the Firearm License Authority asks you to have a safe for you to keep your gun in. But if you don't do that, you can be charged with an offense. But clearly, you have a license, Madam Speaker. You wouldn't charge the person for the same way as if they didn't have a license, they breach a term under it. So that's something much less. There's a fine and imprisonment for 6 months. There's some people, this is a practical measure. You may leave your vehicle and a number of persons, they go into the supermarket or somewhere, they have the gun on them. They put the gun, or even when they get in the car, they put it in the inside pocket of their car. Well, you're not supposed to do that. That's a breach of the terms of the license. And somebody comes in, breaks your car or sees that you leave it there, you leave your car open, you're negligent. Of course, the prosecutor may decide in the circumstances not to charge you for the offense.
Penalties for having a restrictive and prohibitive weapons were also increased to 15 and 25 years respectively, while use of intimidation firearms has increased to 30 years imprisonment. Persons can now also be charged for possession of ghost guns or printed 3D firearms.
It's creeping in here too that you have ghost guns, 3D firearms. 3-dimensional. Homemade guns, you know. And you have the computer, you have the materials, and you make yourself the gun. That's where, so we have to have a particular offense to meet these new technologies. When the original Firearm Act in 1950, well, the one before 1995, 1956, that was not in place. 95, that was not in place. But no, different technological days. So a person shall not manufacture, sell, transfer, purchase, or possess a ghost gun or a firearm produced by a 3D printing process. On summary conviction, you get up to 15 years. And on conviction before judge and jury, a term not exceeding 25 years. Those are stiff penalties.
Another new offense added is possession of 2 prohibitive weapons meant for trafficking.
Purpose of trafficking. So if you have 2 or more firearms or prohibited weapons, you deem to have them for purpose of trafficking, the firearms or prohibited weapons, unless the contrary is proved. The burden of proof being on the accused, and such person commits an offense. The person who commits an offense of this kind, on summary conviction before the magistrate, a fine not exceeding $200,000 or to imprisonment of a term not exceeding 15 years or both, or an indictment, conviction on indictment to a term not exceeding 25 years.
And with a significant increase in penalties and fines made to the amended Firearms Act, Prime Minister Gonzalez made an appeal to people to give up the guns. He signaled out youths who get involved in gun-related activities, which is destroying their future.
And it is painful for me to see young people, especially the bulk of them are overwhelmingly, almost 100% of them, young males, getting involved with this fascination with guns. I say to you, you're mashing up your life if you have a firearm. You're mashing it up. And when you use it, I'm saying to you, the evidence is all around you. You're either going to go to jail, or you for a long time, or you're going to die, or you go to jail, and when you come out, if you continue, you're going to die before you reach your allotted period of time.
The Prime Minister said that it is not too late to give up the guns, and persons in possession of illegal guns should make use of the gun amnesty, which ends on May 31st, 2024.
So I just want the people to listen to me. And we have an amnesty, given a chance. And I want the mothers and fathers and the uncles and the friends in the area to help. The Honourable Member for Central Kingston said something this morning that all of what we are doing here, there are some people who just simply tune out. Well, and he called them a particular name. They tune out. Well, the rest of the society is responding.
The new offences and penalties will come into effect after the gun amnesty ends. And in his contribution to the debate on the Firearms Amendment Bill, Opposition Senator Israel Bruce, who is also a criminal lawyer, said that he is aware of the message the government wants to send to illegal gun holders with stiffer penalties. However, he believes that it is not adequate to address gun violence in the country.
Increase in fines and prison time alone, so let me qualify that, alone as a measure will not be enough. I respectfully say to this Honourable House that these new and emboldened punitive measures, Madam Speaker, must be accompanied by sustained community efforts with targeted interventions to root out the underlying causes of violent crimes.
Senator Bruce, who provided statistics from 2011 to 2020, highlighted that the trend has shown an increase in gun violence, and he suggests greater investment be made to address social ills, not only by the government, but also civil society.
Herein lies the multi-billion-dollar question, Madam Speaker, honourable members. Have we satisfied ourselves? Have we? that we have done enough to assist with the social intervention programs that can assist us in responding to the social deviants as contributors to violent crimes? Are we satisfied that we have done enough? If the answer, which I believe for all of us ought to be no, that we have not done enough, then we need to then say to ourselves, we need to make greater investment. Greater investment in social organizations, Girl Guides, Boy Scouts, Brownies, Pathfinders, and other CBOs and NGOs that could assist us in this collaborative effort.
And Minister of Finance Camilla Gonzalez and Minister of Tourism Carlos James, in their contribution to the Firearms Amendment Bill, agreed that gun violence has to be addressed holistically, as it is not only an SVG problem.
The Honourable Member for Central Kingstown, who made the very accurate point that most of the gun crime in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is located in the cone, I would say essentially between Glen and Otley Hall. But he said it in a constituency-based way, from East St. George round to South Leeward. However you want to say it. The Honourable Member for Central Kingstown correctly said that that is where the most of the gun crime exists. But it is also correct to say that that is the wealthiest cone of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And when the Honourable Member for Central Kingstown was saying, you don't see crime like that in rural areas. Well, guess what? The census tells us that the poorest areas in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are precisely where you see the least crime in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The fascination with illegal firearms, we heard the conversation, members, they were asking, where is this coming from? And let us not pretend that we don't know the real major issues here. And this fascination is largely fueled, Madam Speaker, by the illegal drug trade. And I will further add, Madam Speaker, the urban American hood culture of tough control, which comes with the illegal drug trade.
Opposition MP Sinclair Leacock said he also supports the increase in penalties for gun offences and said the support of everyone, including the general public, is needed to stamp out gun violence.
That is as a consequence wholly and solely of the absence of opportunity. It may be so. But too many of them have given up on the society. And so what we have to do is attempt to see how many of them we can save. Because for me, the question of crime and violence is now something cultural. The behavior is gone, thanks for the knothead. It is something deeper. It's a kind of insanity that is difficult to explain. Sometimes you and I are sitting right next to the person who will be transforming in the next few hours in the evening or the night. And you can't believe it. And there's always the best one. He the one who brought in this, he brought in that. You don't trouble a soul, eh? The only thing you don't see is altar boy.
Persons who are caught giving permission to girls under 15 to use their premises for sexual intercourse will face stiffer penalty. This is part of the amendments of the Criminal Code Amendment Bill 2024, which was passed in Parliament on Thursday and was outlined by Minister of National Mobilization at the launch of activities for Child's Month 2024.
That will be moving from 14 years to 15 years. It was already high, but we still top it up. And I must say this because they're very smart. And I highlighted it when we met at Select Committee before we had the bill coming to the House. Because premises, most of us may think of a house, but we know they're smart. So after I highlighted it, we made some amendments to premises to include vehicle, vessel, aircraft, or other conveyance. So we have to be very careful with our law and how we pass them. And I am sure that you are happy that we are doing our work in this stead to protect our precious jewels.
Outlining the activities that the ministry has planned for Child's Month 2024, Minister Brewster said a highlight will be the Blue Fridays campaign, which will run throughout the month, in which members of the public are being urged to wear blue in solidarity with child abuse victims and show your commitment to keeping our children safe.
Don't have blue, there are little ribbons that you can get that you can still pin on to your, some of you ladies, you like your fancy outfit and so on, but you can always stick a nice little blue ribbon on it as you help us in this blue campaign during this month. We would also be doing some foster care recruitment drive campaign throughout the year. This is not only for the month of April, but we want to do this year round. And the Child Development Division will be hosting a series of foster care recruitment drives to encourage the public to provide safe and stable homes for foster children here in St. Vincent. Number 4, we will be doing a march and rally with torch run, like the Olympics, with the torch. These activities will take place on Friday, the 19th of April, starting in Union Island, and we will move the activities to Kingstown on the 26th of April through the streets of Kingstown. And this will culminate with a rally at Victoria Park. So please save the date. I'm inviting parents, I'm inviting children, I'm inviting members of the NGOs, the non-governmental organization. We want the churches involved. We want every aspect of our society involved in this march and rally, which will be culminating at Victoria Park on the 26th of April 2024.
Minister Brewster said the activities will continue with the parenting education program, which will run throughout the year through the Child Development Division.
All the parents, if you know you're having challenges as it relates to how you deal with your child or ward, we have a Child Affairs Division. There are social workers, there are case workers, and if you can't come to them, they will come to you. So you have no excuse as to how you can help in the development of your child in a positive and a meaningful way. We are here to work with you parents, but you have to embrace the opportunity to work with us. 6, we would have a child abuse awareness campaign. And as I said before, during the month, the Child Development Division will be hosting a series of child abuse awareness campaign, and this will be targeting all the schools throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I know school is out for now, but as soon as school is back in session, you're going to see folks from the child division come into your school as we raise the awareness and inform teachers, students about child abuse and how we can prevent such acts from happening.
The Police Welfare Association remains committed to ensuring the well-being of its members within the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. However, over the years, some officers have expressed their dissatisfaction with promotions within the organization. On the Cup Chat program this week, discussing the roles and responsibilities of the association, Chairman of the Intermediate Branch, Corporal Jimanu Douglas, said in order to give all officers an equal chance at promotion, a set structure for promotion is needed.
We had spoken to the authorities on 1 or 2 occasions about it, and I don't know if, because it's not a welfare thing, it's an authorities thing, I don't know if they're in the process of intending to, but it should happen because there's a process for promotion, and in order for persons to be promoted, they should go through certain areas of their policing career. The way it's done now, in my opinion, it's unfair to a lot of police officers, because you might find a police officer for, let's say, 20 years and still a constable. And you might find a police officer for just 2 years and he's already promoted to corporal. Sometimes it's not that this police officer who's 20 years is not doing the work. Mind you, some police officers are slacking, I'll be honest. But there are police officers who put in the work, but not being recognized.
Junior chairman of the association, Constable Kenroy Rogers, said there is also the need for more open communication between the association, the police senior command, the Minister of Finance, and the Minister of National Security.
Because the main focus and the only beneficiary from the Welfare Association is our members. And if we could have the Security Minister, the Finance Minister, the senior command, all waving the banner of welfare, where they put the welfare of the police force first, I think that the welfare will not only be in a better position, but we would be better able to take care of our members. And I speak personally for the constables, because it is my responsibility, along with my colleagues in the junior branch board, to represent the constables of the organization. And I would say that this is something that I look forward to. It's something that I want to see, and I hope that it is something that could be implemented before the year is out, something that we could see come to life before the year is out, where there is communication, care and concern from the senior command, the Minister of Finance and the Security Minister.
Corporal Douglas used the opportunity to encourage law enforcement officers to join and give their support to the association, noting that their support can move mountains for their own well-being and that of the association.
Some persons are fearful, let's say, they might not be promoted. Some persons are fearful because of political affiliations and whatever other reasons they are fearful of. The police welfare is not about politics. It is not about friends or persons you hate. We are about our members. So if our members come together as a strong body, we can have things that are affecting us done more effectively, rapidly. They hold back, and when these things are not done, then they would say the welfare is weak. But it's not that the welfare is weak, because the welfare is the 1,000 members body strong. If that, even half of that comes together.
Based on average statistics, it has been observed, and there is strong suspicion that during the past few years, babies born in the early neonatal period between birth and 7 days may have congenital heart disease. This is according to pediatrician in the cardiology department, Dr. Sharian Davis Andrews, who was a guest virtually today on NBC Radio. Dr. Davis Andrews said congenital heart disease can be diagnosed later on or detected through routine screening.
If we say 1%, that's quite a number of cases. So the majority of cases would be on the milder form. But when we do have the more complex cases, those that may present very early after birth, those who may present very ill, very blue, then unfortunately the prognosis is usually quite poor for those infants. But for as I said, the milder forms, the prognosis tends to be quite good. So it depends on what kind of congenital heart disease that a baby or a child may have. Particular risk factors would be certain infections. So there are certain viral infections if they do get it at in the early part of pregnancy. Also, alcohol use, very important. So that's one of the reasons we recommend that mothers are not drinking during pregnancy. Illicit drug use. Also, there are certain medications, and that is why it's important that if you are on medications, because of a chronic illness, that you inform your doctor. And you also be aware that if you do become pregnant, or if you're in activities where you will get risk of becoming pregnant, that you make your doctor aware so that those medications are stopped very early. And importantly, I should say too, mothers who have diabetes, especially diabetes that's uncontrolled in pregnancy, there's a high risk of abnormalities, which include heart defects.
Dr. Davis Andrews outlined a few preventative measures which mothers can take to prevent their fetus from developing congenital heart disease.
One, I would recommend that if you are on medications for chronic illnesses, ensure that if you are within the childbearing age and there's a likelihood of getting pregnant, that you discuss with your physician the safety of these medications in pregnancy, so that you can probably switch to another medication if you are trying to get pregnant, or ensure that it is discontinued if you are pregnant. I would also say for those who have chronic illnesses, especially diabetes or diabetes that may come on within pregnancy, ensure that it's controlled, so you're on your medications and your sugar levels are controlled. No alcohol, no drug use, and also ensure that you are on your folic acid supplementation. So you may have heard it before, we recommend that folic acid supplementation is given not just when a pregnancy is confirmed, but even before, because we know that folic acid supplementation decreases the risk of having nerve abnormalities, right, within a baby's. But there are studies that are now showing that there may actually be the likelihood of decreasing of folic acid supplementation, decreasing the risk of having heart defects.
Congenital heart disease is a term used to describe a group of conditions in which a baby is born with a structural abnormal heart. Congenital heart disease can have a number of symptoms, particularly in babies and children, including rapid heartbeat, rapid breathing, swelling of the limbs, tummy, and around the eyes, extreme tiredness and fatigue, a blue tinge to the skin or lips, tiredness and rapid breathing when a baby is feeding. These problems are sometimes noticeable soon after birth, although mild effects may not cause any problems until later on in life.